And then at the end, everyone, if you see the chat option on your Zoom call, we want you all to type in whatever questions you all have that we haven't answered already. And my name is Keiva Cole, and I'll be facilitating. So we have, for alumni, we have Dr. Michael Smith. We have India Leach. We have Shaunae Evans. We have Gilen Saunders. We have, as our parent, DARLENE Tasker. And our current student, the 2019 Student of the Year Award recipient, Mr. Mauricio Velazquez Rodriguez. And I hope I did not mess up that last name. So we're gonna have each of them introduce themselves a little more, tell you about their high school, colleges, and everything like that. So Dr. Mike, you wanna go first?
Sure, good morning. Thank you, Keiva, I appreciate that. And good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Michael Smith. I am a board certified foot surgeon. I'm a podiatrist by trade and a CollegeBound alumni. A graduate of Baltimore City College High School. Many years ago, I went on to matriculate at Howard University. Got my podiatry degree from now the Kent State University system. And I always like these things just to give back to CollegeBound, because a lot of times, just from the access standpoint to education, it's very important. So just a little bit about me.
Thank you. Next is India on the line. Okay, Shaunae, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shaunae Evans-Wheatley. I graduated from Baltimore City College High School, class of 2012. I went on to Stevenson University, got my bachelor's in accounting, class of 2016, and I'm currently a senior tax associate at RS in Baltimore. And I love CollegeBound. Since graduating, I've been a mentor in the program, well as a facilitator with some of the workshops. And I just love engaging with the students and, you know, giving back, as Mike said. So I look forward to hearing the good questions that you have.
Thank you. And I saw India at the chat, in the chat below. So India, if you unmute yourself, did you get that?
Yes, I was talking and everything, but I was muting. Welcome, everyone. I'm India Leach, born and raised in Baltimore. I went to Maryville for high school and received a CollegeBound scholarship to go to University of Maryland, College Park for undergrad. I did go to Towson University for my master's, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD at Morgan State University. So I am very grateful to be here and answer any of your questions. I also work at Towson University in outreach and retention. So I take Towson students into Baltimore, where we work with 9th graders on college readiness.
Great, thank you. Next, Gilen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gilen Saunders. I am a graduate of Forest Park High School in 2009. I recently graduated from Coppin State University in 2019, where I pledged in Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am now in my second year with my grad program at Grand Canyon University. I'll be graduating there spring 2021 with my master's in education. And I am a teacher, a kindergarten teacher at Barclay Elementary Middle School here in Baltimore, Maryland. I am born and raised Baltimore person.
Thank you. And my apologies for mispronouncing your name. And for our parent, we have Ms. Tasker.
Good morning, everyone. DARLENE Tasker, have a daughter, Avion Tasker, who is an alumni of CollegeBound. She's currently into her senior year computer science major at Bowie. In addition, she's currently over the summer in real estate school. I've been a realtor in Baltimore for 19 years. I'm currently a sergeant in Anne Arundel County Detention Center for 23 years. And I'm just a big participant of anything for young people. So I'm here to answer any parent questions, loan questions, financial aid that I can with the process I've been
Thank
with
you.
Avion going through her time at Louis State.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mauricio, our current student.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mauricio Velazquez Rodriguez. I graduated from the Baltimore Polytechnic Institute from Poly 2019. I'm studying mechanical engineering at Brown University. I just finished my first year, so my resume isn't as big as everybody else's here. But I'm happy to be here, and I would love to answer any of your questions regarding life, anything. So thank you.
Thank you. And a little bit about myself. I'm also a CollegeBound alumni, graduated from Baltimore Polytechnic Institute in 2010. Hey, go Poly. I see people in the chat. Graduated undergrad at Notre Dame of Maryland University in 2014 and Bowie State University in 2017. So a little bit about me. So each panelist is we're gonna have a couple questions. Each panelist doesn't have to answer, but each will have about 2 minutes for their answer to each question. So first question, how did being involved with CollegeBound affect your college experience, whether it was in high school or in college?
I can go first.
Okay.
So CollegeBound definitely, it changed everything about my college experience. At Stevenson, it's a predominantly white institution, and I went to City, so I was used to being around my type of people, and then it was kind of a culture shock in a way. And CollegeBound really opened up those resources between my very first internship at Travelers Insurance Company, which was an amazing experience. Lori Sabatic, she's just such a pioneer with the program. I feel like without her just guiding me, giving me that wisdom, and then attending the professional development sessions, it made a world of a difference when I sat in a room with my peers and noticed how good I was at networking or just speaking and introducing myself. And those things I didn't start. I was terrible when I first started the CollegeBound program. And then just seeing the return on my investment of, me putting in the effort in the program the same way that they're putting the funds and the resources that the professionals that would come and engage with us and things, it was definitely life-changing. I still reflect on the development workshops, as well as I have those connections, lifelong connections that I've made just by attending different events. So definitely life-changing.
Thank you. Anyone else on the panel?
I think that's a good point. From a perspective for me, I mentioned early access. So I was a student where I did well. I did very well. But there were some areas that might have been weaker in my own academic way going from high school to college. And so it wasn't like a full ride situation, but I could get scholarships. So part of that was I was piecemealing some scholarships and some financial things, and CollegeBound was a big piece of what I needed. So when you talk about access to education, otherwise I might not have been able to go and be a part of a network, right? Or let alone learn how, or through that process. So access to education, access to life skills more than just college, like learning to network, being part of a network, for me, again, continue to be a part of that, my CollegeBound experience.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything?
My mainly from the college application process, and for me, just kind of following the two themes from the people, Dr. Mike and Shaunae Evans, life-changing and early access to education. For me, literally, Ms. Green, one of the CollegeBound counselors of Poly, and Mr. Harrell, another CollegeBound advisor, literally got me to college. Literally, I didn't know much about college. By the way, I'm from Mexico, so I immigrated here a couple of years ago, not a couple of years ago, 7 years ago, but nonetheless, I didn't have that exposure that I needed to make a very good decision. And that's the way they explained to me, they had a meeting about me and say, where can we get him to college? And where can he go and, and that I didn't have to pay any money and stuff like that. So for me, they'll give me the list of schools that I could apply to. And I did, and I got in, and like they said, you probably won't have to pay any money, and I didn't. So for me, it was definitely life-changing because at first, I just wanted to go to college. Didn't matter what. And at the end, I got to choose what college I wanted to go to. So for me, that was certainly life-changing, and the access to education and the resources they provided for me was definitely helpful and something that I appreciate.
Great, thank you. So second question, what advice would you give your college age self?
So I like to jump in on that because I was going to jump in on the last question, but I think I can tie them together. So really about making connections. So me, when I was in high school, I was very vocal. Very outgoing, as you can see from my personality today. But when I got on University of Maryland College Park's campus, I was not as vocal. So I would tell myself to really reach out there. This is not for all my high school students. This is not the time for ego or pride to be in the way. This is the time to be real with yourself. One of the things in coming into this adulthood and moving from high school to college is being honest with yourself. It's not the teachers or counselors that's going to be responsible for your success, but it's you really figuring out what you're good at and what you're not good at, and being honest and getting help on the things that you're not so good at. So it's about having those connections. The same with the CollegeBound Foundation. Yeah, it's 17 years since I got the scholarship that you're getting ready to get, but I'm still connected with this family. When I think about my college experience, this is the family that helped me through. So I would just tell my younger self, don't be afraid to get out there, to push yourself out there, to make connections. I mean, one person told me at this point, that person can only say yes or no. There's only 2 responses they can give you. So just not being afraid to really put out in the universe what you want for yourself, the things you need, the things you're not so good at, and you'll be surprised how things, people, and places will come into place to help you with that. But you can't be quiet and to yourself and struggling by yourself when you have so many people, organizations, your university, CollegeBound Foundation that really want to help support you. So we can't, be so quiet. We have to speak up and speak out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with that. And one thing that India said that really hit home is to put your pride aside and, put your ego aside and really take advantage of everything that's being put forth in front of you. I remember, I laugh about it now, but when I was assigned my first mentor in my freshman year of college, and I honestly didn't feel like I could utilize her. So I was kind of resistant to building the relationship. I'm like, what do I need you for? I'm not talking to you. And then it got really weird because I found myself, although, I graduated from Stevenson with a 3.8 and I had great grades, I had great companies on my resume, but because I had been so standoffish throughout my college experience, I had made those connections with my mentors. I hadn't built those that network where I had that group that could vouch for me and say, yeah, Shaunae's a great person, you should hire her, do this, that, and the third. So I was playing catch up afterwards, although I had crossed every T and dotted every I, because I did not hit that pivotal point of building those connections at these development workshops and things. It definitely bit me in the butt. So please utilize your resources, build your relationship with mentors, even if it's just, checking in. We're in a quarantine right now. There's a lot of things to talk about. So just using any type of resource and building off of it.
I wanted to piggyback off of both India and Shaunae. That's exactly right. If I had to tell my younger self something, this is, you see, it's an easy thing now, turning. My experience in that same space was kind of parallel, you, Shaunae, where I was doing my work and I was getting good grades freshman year, all of that kind of stuff. So I was okay. I was fine. But I needed that advisor who I didn't necessarily know 3 years the whole time because I didn't need them. All I had to do, if I was telling the freshman first day Michael, go talk to Dr. So-and-so once, right? Make it a 5-minute weekly standing meeting. If the class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talk to Dr. So-and-so on Fridays after class for 5 minutes or whatever that standing time is. That the technology didn't exist like this when I was in school. I imagine emails or Zooms or calls or texts or whatever the case may be, all would be a way to reach out. And it's just from a standpoint that when you need a recommendation for the interview you're trying to get to potentially senior year, you know, Mr. or Dr. So-and-so won't be foreign to you, you know, younger Michael Smith. So, you know, Dr. Gordon didn't really know me, and I was trying to, again, like I say, play catch up. And India's mentioned, it'll be more valuable to you than a lot of the classes and coursework that you take. If you just go say, I need help, or how can I get better? You know, every now and then you'd be amazed how it goes on the back end of that. I agree.
So I wanted to jump in.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I wanted to jump in. In my introduction, I stated that I graduated from Forest Park High School in 2009, and I graduated from Coppin State University in 2019. So as you see, it's a 10-year gap difference in attending college. So my story is kind of different. I'm not going to go all the way into it. Basically, when I graduated from high school, I did attend college for a short while, but because FAFSA and my mother's portion was all jumbled and mixed up, I wasn't privy and able to go at that time. So at the age of 24, as an independent student, I was able to go without my mother's help, say so, whatever. So I was grown going to college. And even though I was grown, I still had my kind of fears and worries that I'm too old to do anything. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. But once I connected with a couple of staff members on Coppin's campus, and I love Coppin because it's like a family. All day, every day, it's like a family. And although it's an HBCU, it's very diverse. And when I got on the campus, I said, well, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I want to do something. I don't want to sit back and be shy. I want to get involved. So long story short, when I got on Coppin's campus, I jumped straight into STEP team. I was the president of the STEP team. I was Miss Bold and Beautiful, the first plus size queen on Coppin's campus. I crossed as a Delta. I was the vice president for Delta in my chapter 2 years. I was Miss Coppin State University. So what I want to say is you do not sit back and be afraid of what you think you cannot accomplish, okay? It does not matter what you know, it matters who you know. So I encourage you all to get on your campus, jump into organizations, because that helps build the relationships, which later build the network, which later helps you to get jobs and, you know, get invited to different conferences and different mentorship programs. I also at Coppin, I was a mentor as well as a mentee. So never shy away from what you think that you're not capable of doing, because it will surprise you the things that you can accomplish. So I'm just here to encourage all you all that once you get on that campus, don't worry about who you were in high school, who you were in middle school. It's about who you are once you get on that campus and who you're going to be when you leave.
Thank you all for those answers. And the theme that I heard overall is making connections and putting yourself out there. So this question will be mostly geared for the parent on the panel. What is one of the best things you did or wish you would have done to support your child through college?
Well, I'll say one of the best things I did was save a little, not as much as I should have, because I wasn't sure where she was going. She actually was accepted to a lot of schools and thought she was going to Clark Atlanta. She got accepted to Clark Atlanta as well as Spelman, and then decided on Bowie at the last minute. So we are prepared to move her there, but saving if you can. As the young lady stated, that she had to wait to go to school with the FAFSA and her mom. That's a big struggle because due to the income that I have afforded myself, I've been paying for Avion to go to school out of my pocket with the help of CollegeBound has gave scholarship and other delegate scholarships, and senatorial scholarships. The money does make a difference and not that she has bad grades, but a lot of schools have at need basis. So when they have other students that are at more need, they end up giving that money to them first. Like the fall, she's getting ready to go back. So I'm in preparation to give a cashier check to Bowie next week in order for her to start her senior year. So my thing is apply for as many scholarships and grants as you can. Start looking, FastWeb, go through CollegeBound Foundation. If you know that you may have a financial issue for as paying, please start looking now. Apply. And as the other young lady stated, they only can say yes or no. Apply, get you a good essay together that you can use on more than one site. Apply, because the financial part of it does make a difference. You want to get the best education, but when you don't have the resources to pay, it's no way you're going to be able to go.
Thank you. And to piggyback on what something that you said, my next question is for everyone on the panel. What made you choose the colleges that you attended, and what made you decide your major?
Well, I'll speak first. I'm a graduate of University of Baltimore. Business is my major, business and entrepreneurship. In high school, even though I'm older, that was my curriculum and specialty in high school. So that's how I went on to do business in college and ended up becoming a realtor, just in the business aspect, because it started way back in high school. So I kept following through. And my daughter is good with computers, how she ended up with doing computer science at Bowie State. And now I have her she's in real estate class, getting ready to obtain her real estate license.
Great. Anyone else want to?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I chose my pathway in a, I would air quote say traditional way, because I got a slight opinion about it, but that's different than when I chose at the time that I'm going to tell my 14-year-old daughter differently, right? But it worked out because, you say I wanted to be a doctor when I was little, so I said that. By the time I had reached, I was at City, I did a summer program. I was doing a physical therapy like internship or something one summer. And so my initial, when I went to Howard, I chose because they had a physical therapy program and there weren't many on the East Coast at the time. I ended up switching and changing majors to biology midway through my first year, because the pull to quote be a doctor kind of tugged at me that way. And then I went on to do that. But what I would tell my daughter differently and my son differently, or just in general, or anybody on a call, is I didn't have to choose biology as a major to matriculate and go to medical school, right? If you have something that you want to do, right? You'll hear words like passion and things like that. Do some research. You got computers in your hands now called phones and stuff. Do some research. It's okay to be emotionally attached to an idea of what you may want to do career-wise, but do some research on that too and see the ins and out, right? If that's what you want to do. This goes back to networking and using that field. There was a scenario, just to wrap up the story, a scenario where there was a guy and he was kind of shadowing and there was some surgery going on and he passed out as he was observing the surgery. It's better to find out as a prospective college student that maybe a surgeon is not my career choice, than to go through that way and learn the hard way. So you don't have to be stuck to it. Keep creating. Your profession in life will choose you, and you don't have to be one thing for forever. you know, and kind of choose it on the back end.
Okay, so for me, actually, before I graduated Coppin State, I had 3 different majors. When I came in, I'm also a doula, which is a labor coach. So when I came in, I said, well, I'm a doula. My mom's a nurse. I'm going to be a nurse. I took my chemistry class and it told me no. So I said, okay, well, I know I'm not good at science. Okay, so what else can I do? I said, okay, well, my passion is children. I love children from the womb till they graduate. Anything I can do with students, I do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do education. So I went in, and my junior year, Coppin did not tell me in order to graduate, I had to pass the praxis. So I'm like, OMG, I have test anxiety, I have dyslexia. Like, it's a lot. I can't just pass the test. So I took it, failed. So I said, okay, I need to figure out a way to graduate and to still have my major. So I went on to be an interdisciplinary studies major, which is I studied 2 disciplines. It was psychology and education. So I graduated, and it allowed me to graduate, still have my education on my bachelor's degree, but also give me time to pass the praxis in order to teach. So now I said in my master's program, I'm going to get a master's in education. So I said all that to say that although in my mind, I had in my mind what I wanted to be. I was going to be a nurse. This is just, it's in my blood. But I had to understand, what is my passion? What can I do all day and night and still love it and still be okay with waking up the next morning to do it? So that's what it was. Sometimes you're going to have to change your major. Sometimes you may go in with one idea and graduate with a whole nother idea. But the thing is, don't be afraid to do that. Okay, you are the student. You are going to college, and yes, your parents may be helping you financially, and you may get scholarships or whatever. But at the end of the day, when you graduate with that degree, you're going to have to determine, is this what I want to do for majority of.
Thank you. So this will be our last question, because I want us to have enough time for all of the questions and things in the chat. How did your college experience affect your getting your first position, employment position after college, and impact your professional life as a whole?
I think that's a really good question. I'll start, and I think, again, I'm going to be merging the 2 questions together, because Dr. Mike mentioned research, and I'm going to really encourage both my high school students, college students, to research these careers. And what we mean by research is the time with your guidance counselor, the career centers on campus, academic advisors, having internships and job experience. That's all research. It's to see the things you like and you don't like. Again, a lot of students, high school students and college students, get caught up on a college major, when essentially it's the skills, it's the things you like, it's transferable skills. So, and another thing, when I came up at College Park, there was this big saying about find your niche. It's this thing about doing things that you like to do. You can never go wrong with doing what you like to do. And when you do that, you may pull in 2 things. Okay, I like communication and I like education. And I pull those things together, and that's my niche. So don't be so tied into these majors and I can't find a job because I have this major. It's about the skills that you're able to acquire as you move throughout. It's about how do you take adversity and turn that into success. Those are the things jobs are looking for. Those are the things colleges are looking for. But that research is very crucial. So whenever you get the chance to be in front of a professor, an advisor, a counselor, you need to start having these career conversations. Remember, growing up, I couldn't tell my teacher I wanted to be a college advisor. I didn't even know that exists. I didn't even know that there were jobs to help people get into college. So I always say my career path chose me. I didn't necessarily choose it, but I still was on kind of this path that I wanted to do the best that I can and do my due diligence by researching. So researching is asking the questions and having those conversations when you're in front of those counselors. Because again, the biggest thing, and I'm just going to throw this last tip out here, because it's not just enough right now just to say we need to go to college, because you can go to college, graduate, only have a 4-year degree and have student loans, and you can't get a job to help pay those loans. So we're at a place now where we have to be a bit more strategic. This is the generation that is not, oh no, I'm not just going into college and I'm not just going to get a bunch of debt. You want to be strategic about it. And strategic meaning this: if you have a major, and these are the majors that we call, they prepare you for more education. So they're your general studies majors. They're your psychology. I did communications myself. But what I'm saying is it's a difference between a communications major versus a nursing major. That's a professional major, an accounting major. That means after this 4 years, it's the same way that Gillian said, that nursing, you had to pass the praxis, because that's telling you that you're going into that profession. This is the biggest discrepancy our students have when they take these liberal arts majors and think that the 4 years is enough. It's not enough. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The liberal arts 4-year majors prepare you for more education or more training or more connections. Something like that is more behind it. So think about that. And that's why those professional majors are a bit more difficult. That's why nursing is more difficult. That's why accounting is more difficult, because it's a test right after it, and it takes you right into that profession. So this, for me as an advisor, is the biggest discrepancy we have, is that I'm going to get this 4-year psychology degree, and then I'm going to work in psychology. What is the world of psychology? There is no psychology job. So I just need us to map that out. What the jobs that we're talking about now, it's okay to get the background of psychology, but that's where my niche comes in. I like psychology. I like education. I'm going to merge them together. I'm going to work in the school as a school psychologist. But I did that because that's who I am. It's not because I took this psychology major. Okay, so I'm going to come off my soapbox, but thinking about those majors. And again, if you're going into liberal arts, you want to start that research, asking questions, getting internships. What can I actually do with this psychology and this communication? As you can tell, I'm communication. So I did a lot with it, but I didn't stop at that degree. I'm still going for this PhD. So that's the biggest discrepancy, knowing liberal arts versus professional preparation when you're going to college. And which route am I on? Once I get this 4-year, do I need to go back? Because I can tell you right now, if you're in a liberal arts program, you will need to go back. You will need to do more. You will need to have some connections. You will still need a certification, some to go into a specific type of field. All right, I'm off the soapbox.
I love that. I just had like 30 seconds. Down to the money. What are the salaries of some of these professions? It is okay to uncover these. You do not want to go to a college where it costs this much a year and the degree that you get will not be worth the paper it's written on. There have been studies about this, that exists throughout the country. You got to know that. You should know that. And, your phone can tell you that. Be okay with researching how much you would make. Understand all of that. Because if you're 20 years into something that you kind of sort of like and it doesn't match up to, from a money standpoint, you could have known that before you step foot on there. I think that's very important.
Okay, anyone have one last comment?
I wanted to say something else. That's fine.
Okay.
For me, coming straight out of college, in order to get a job teaching, I was a first year teacher. I just ended my first year teaching. And literally, I sent my resume. I called around to about 10 to 15 schools. None of the principals responded back to me. And I'm thinking like, wow, I did all of this to become a teacher and I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm confused. But speaking of communication, I have one of my big sisters in my sorority in my chapter is a principal. So I said, I'm not going to call her. I'm not going to call her because it's weird. I just want to get it on my own. I said, all right, let me just go ahead and call her. I called her. She, come on in. Before I even could sit down, I knew I already had the job, but I had to prove to her that I was educated enough to handle this, to handle the role as being a teacher. And this is a generation of not just one stream of income. So I would encourage you all to, like India said, you want to see what you can do over here, what you can do over here, and bring it together. So for me, I have a salary paying job, and then on the other side, I have a per hour paying job because I need to have multiple streams of income. And in that same breath, one of my profiles, one of my big sisters is the owner of the company in which I work for. So the networking in college is always going to bring you back to helping you get money in your pockets, okay? And then on that side, I have two businesses that I'm running. One a mentorship program, one is a doula program. So the thing is, your job and your career is not going to just be enough for just one thing. You need to think, how can I make it all work, right? And then on top of all that, how can I educate myself more? Because as we are encouraging you all to go to college, there's other students out here, other people out here who are going to college. You need to say, what is going to make me stand out in the room? What can I do? I have to, okay, stay up later. Okay, I have to get my master's. Okay, now I have to get my PhD. I can't rush. You have to grind out, because at the end of the day, you have to have your own back. At the end of the day, you have to be able to invest into your future, okay? So it's not just, I get a career and that's just it. No, you get your career and you build. It's like Legos. You have to do it, because as you're building, you have to bring someone else up with you. That's what it's called, mentorship. So I'm just encouraging you all that what I thought me just being a teacher actually opened my eyes to now want to be an entrepreneur, because I'm working under an entrepreneur. So you have to connect with those people, and whatever they pouring out, you get it, because then you want to pour it out to the next person.
Thank you for that response. So next we'll do any questions from anyone watching. You can put them down, type them down in the chat.
You guys can also use like the reaction button, and I can unmute you if you would like to talk.
I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I have one question for, I think his name is Guillermo or something like that. I couldn't hear his name so well. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm sorry. So, I don't know if he can hear me.
Mauricio?
Yeah, Mauricio.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh.
Sorry about it. So I was gonna ask you this question. How was the transition different from you, like being an immigrant, then being a high school student, then going to university, and also like I know you're a second like English learner. So how was that different from you, like the experience for you?
So it was definitely hard, I would say, because especially the English part. Learning English was, well, it's difficult. And not just learning English, but assimilating to the a new society, really, a new culture. And for me, that was a bit challenging, but at the same time, there was a lot of growth there, because I realized that simply by going to school and trying to, read a book wasn't enough, but also having friends who spoke English to me was good for my learning, right? And then I came in my seventh grade year in middle school. So for going to high school, it was kind of difficult to, for example, get into poly, right? But one of the things that I did well, and I thank my parents for, teaching me a lot of these things, is asking questions. I asked my teachers, hey, how do I do this? Hey, I don't understand this word at all. I never heard this word. How do you do that? You just asking people questions and they'll help you really. And so going to high school, I was really scared because, I'm gonna be at the bottom of the class and all of this, but really just putting in the effort, listening to your teachers, doing your homework. At the end of the day, you're there for your education, and putting that as a priority is really important, I think. And for me, education was the only way that I can, better myself. So for me, education was the great opportunity my mother gave me, by allowing me to come here, and I needed to take advantage of that. And I think I've done pretty well so far, but I'm still learning. And then high school to college is, just because that's the main purpose of the meeting. It was definitely a big change because now you have all this freedom and you have all the responsibility that there is when it comes to your education. You choose what classes you take and everything, what major or what you want to study, right? So for me was allowing myself to learn all the different learn about all the different interests that I have, So I want to be a mechanical engineer. So I say I'll take some mechanical engineering classes, but I also said I'm very interested in politics as well, right? So I took a public policy class, although I ended up not liking it, but I learned. So being able to explore, I think it's very important. Allow yourself to explore, or allow yourself to ask those questions like everybody said. And also listen to people, don't just ignore it. Because what I found myself doing is I heard everybody say, oh, ask questions, ask for help and everything. And then once I got to campus was like, you know what, I can do this myself, And my first semester was kind of horrible because of it. It was very stressful because I just didn't allow myself to go and ask my professor a simple question on a math problem, right? So just use your resources. There's resources out there. If the school is not putting it in your face, you can find them in their website probably. So just allow yourself to do that research and learn. Really, you're there to learn, whether it's education or it's social skills. You're there to learn and take advantage of that.
Thank you. And I see a few do you have a response? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a great response, and I definitely taking notes of this because as I prepare for college, so I'm really interested in like what everybody tells. And also, I would like to ask another questions, like general question. I don't know if you allow me to do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if you will go back 10 years ago, like everybody, what advice would you give to yourself? It's just a general question that I would like to ask to everybody. If you will go back to when you were like a high school student or maybe a college student, and now you have this you are more smart, you have a different mindset, like what advice would you give to yourself?
The advice that I would give myself 10 years from now, I would have been 19, Lord. I would have told myself to study more. I think that, actually, no. I think that how everything worked out for me is exactly how I needed to. Because if I would have, prepare always. Like India said, do your research. So at an early age, at the age of 19, I would have taken in consideration study, although I wasn't, at the age of 20, I was out of college. So although I wasn't physically in college, I would have still taken educational courses or small group educational things just to keep my mind refreshed on the things that I would want to do later on in life. So I would tell myself to stay the course and not get sidetracked, and to definitely study and research. It doesn't have to be all day and night, but study something here, study something there, because it will always come back to your remembrance when you're in the field working.
Okay, thank you. I have I see a few questions in the chat. So I'm gonna merge two of the questions together. So someone asks, how effective was your support system at your college? And then also, someone else asks, how did you manage stress and potential burnout while in school?
I can touch on the managing stress and burnout. When I was at Stevenson, I was a part of a few organizations as well. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. I was a vice president and the treasurer at my chapter, as well as the Accountant Association. I actually was a vice president of that, amongst a bunch of random things like tutoring in the Student Resource Center and things. And one thing I learned is, when I was creating my schedule for this semester, you know, certain schools have more flexibility, but scheduling my courses to when I felt like I would be the most effective. So like, I'm an early bird, I'm in public accounting, and like, we have busy season and long days. And I typically would start my workday around like 6:30, which I guess I've just always been an early bird. So like, I would typically schedule my courses within the morning hours. And then I had internships and things of that nature that I also had to manage. But I was always keen on making sure like I set aside some time to just decompress, take a step back, and relax my brain and my thought process. You know, whether that's finding a hobby that you really enjoy, or it's just, you know, taking random walks around campus, cutting your phone off and not dealing with that. But just certain things, whatever makes you happy. I was very intentional with putting aside days throughout the week, and just managing that, keeping that one piece of not stress in my life. And then just managing your time accordingly with like being realistic with the hours that you can work. Like, you know, we all want money, but I had to be very cognizant that during my accounting internships, they paid really well, and I wanted to work all the hours, but I still had to maintain my grades. I still had to do my organizations. So I had to sacrifice some things, and in that case, it was hours and money. But in the end, I felt like it was worth it.
So I guess I can speak a little to the organizations part. I came in and saw a bunch of organizations that I was interested in, said I'm gonna join everything. But that wasn't the best idea. I think a lot of us make that mistake of joining a lot of organizations. But one thing I noticed is that these organizations help you a lot. That's where you make all your connections. That's where you make all your friends. And I think, while they might take time of your schedule, they might also provide you that, I guess, relaxation that you need, you know, to keep you, you know, school is stressful, but maybe going to this meeting and have conversations that you are really interested in, it's going to relax you, right? Take the stress away. And I think that's one of the benefits of joining organizations. And when it comes to managing, most organizations, depending on your role, if you're a member, you might not have many responsibilities. So you might be able to miss a meeting or something like that if you have to, right? Because at the end of the day, if you join an organization, you're making a commitment and you should follow it. But making sure that you are leaving time for the things that you need, like your classes. That's what I did. You know, thankfully, mechanical engineering, every professor there wants to have classes at 9 a.m., which I don't like, but so that gives me the rest of the day to join any organization that I want, and, you know, have the time to study. And unfortunately, I have to go to sleep early, but it's okay. And, you know, just making sure that you're on top of your schoolwork for the most part, like making sure that it's, you know, it's taken care of. And then when it comes to the organizations, making sure that you're getting from it what you want to get. So if you want to get friends from it, that's good. Making sure that they're providing something helpful for you that can help you, and not just join an organization just to have it in your resume. Sometimes we might do that, or I did it at least. So yeah. So
I got a simple thing I wanted to say with regards to like managing stress that I didn't learn during undergraduate, that I learned a little later in life, is that sometimes you'll go to study or whatever the case may be. And where do we study, right? Wherever you study, your bedroom, maybe a library, whatever. But what I found and realized later in my life is that I might be limited to how I can absorb information in a certain setting. But if I say went out and took a blanket on the lawn, I could get another hour in. And I didn't learn that till later on in my career. So you might look a little bit awkward finding solitude or spaces or places around campus. But if you do that, you might find that just changing your scenery might change your mood and your ability to study. So you can't study in the cafeteria, you probably know it's a lot going on there. But if you find a little nook or under a tree or something like that exists, or just even a quiet space, and it might be you study here for a moment, then I get up, I'll physically go walk somewhere else, and I could study more because my environment changed. So you could do that with external environment, you could do that with music, you could do that with lighting, you know, all of those things that I just didn't understand till later in life, but would be, valuable as a younger college student, I think.
And I'd just like to add on, if I could, just to clarify some of the things I put in the comment box. One thing I didn't realize going to college is the whole environment is there to help support you. When you're going on college visits and you're looking at making choices, resources and support are some of the things that you're looking for. The job of every person on that college campus is to make sure you get to graduation, because that's the ultimate goal. It's not about just getting to college, it's about getting to graduation now. Enough of us have got to college, but enough of us have not gotten to that graduation point. So again, everybody on campus job is to get you to graduation, and actually you've already paid them for that. So I want you to be aware of the things that you already paid for, and most of us go 4 to 6 years and don't even take advantage, and we've already paid. So we've paid for a writing center, somebody to help us with our papers. We paid for a health center when we're not feeling well. We've paid for a counseling center when stress gets up to here and we need to talk to somebody. Even at Towson, we have massage tables where you can come and get massaged in the counseling center. You've already paid for it. We've paid for program and de-stress events to have fun, these concerts, the different student organizations, when they bring all the fun stuff, they bring bouncy houses to campus so you can jump some stress out. You've already paid for that. You've paid for a gym membership, a full gym membership. So you should be checking out what your campus gym looks like. What does class workouts look like? All of this stuff you have already paid for. But when you get to this college campus, it's time to take advantage of it. And again, separating my strengths and my weaknesses. I'm not feeling good. These are the resources. This is where I can go. So again, just think about all those resources. I wasn't prepared to take advantage of the resources I had already paid for. So I need you to be able and know, okay, now I need to go to the counseling center and talk to somebody. I've already paid for it and my fees. So we always talk about the fees, but it's, again, everybody's job on that campus is to get you to graduation. And as soon as you feel like you need help, you need to have a few people on that campus that can help support you. So again, when you're thinking about where do I go, you want to go where you have the most support, where you may have a Miss India on campus. That's why I do what I do. That's why I'm at Towson. So you will have a Miss India that you can go to and let them know what's going on, and they give you the resources. So whatever campus, whether Towson or not, whatever campus you go to, you want to find your people, your resources. Where do you go when things are not going good? Or who do you go to that can point you in the right direction? And that's on any campus. The first day, find your people.
Thank you. And that's really important because you are paying for those things. And they're not going to give you that money back if you don't use them. So definitely using those resources that are on campus. And there are so many. All you have to do is go to, your college's website and just click around and see, what resources are there on campus. Because it might be just an office in the corner somewhere in a hallway you've never even been down, right? So looking out and talking to other students that, may be having some issues that you're having. We do have a question for Dr. Mike. Someone asked, when was the earliest that you met with your advisors to begin preparing for medical school?
So I mentioned I kind of did mine backwards. I waited too long. So I actually, after school, I worked 3 years before I went back to school. Part of that is because I waited so long to understand the networking aspect. First couple weeks on campus, you can connect with the advisor. I put something in the chat because I had another question. If somebody's interested, make it your business today to Google the medical school you're interested in. You could get that criteria right now. You will learn you don't have to have a biology or engineering degree. You just have to have a certain amount or volume of credits. Look at those credits. Go to school for something you love. Take the credits if they merge and make sense to you. Before you even step foot on the campus, you can understand that. First week or month of school, meet and introduce yourself to your advisor. I'm thinking about this advisor, Dr. So-and-so, and then make it a standing either, every other week or some routine, at least once a month, 5 or 10 minute conversation about where you are in life. October is around. Have those things. And then, like Shaunae said, by the time it comes time to write recommendations and vouch for you, you could have a C student get the job that you was looking for with your A's just because they met with their advisor earlier in the process. And I think everybody would agree with me on the panel. So I didn't do it right, but if I was going to give my younger self advice, I would just say meet with them September, the first time I step foot on campus.
Thank you. And it definitely is important to keep in touch with those advisors and make sure that those people know not just your face, but your name as well, because you never know when you'll need those people again. I've literally gotten in touch with advisors from years ago, like recently, and they're still like, oh, hey, yeah, fine. What do you need me to do? You need me to write a letter? You need me to? Okay, great. So definitely keeping in touch with those people as well. So we have another question. Someone asked, what's the hardest obstacle that you've overcome in order to get to where you are now, and what keeps you motivated?
I can start with that one. So when I was at Stevenson, as I mentioned, I got my bachelor's degree in accounting, and I literally went into accounting on just hope and a prayer. I wanted to go to law school, but I knew I was good at math. So I just randomly enrolled in accounting courses my freshman year. And then junior year, I want to say, I finally started trying to get an internship. And I probably went to about 11 on-campus interviews, and I was literally rejected by 10 out of those 11 firms. And it was the most heartbreaking time of my life. Whereas, as somebody mentioned earlier, it's I've done all of this work, I put in all this effort, and then am I even going to be able to work in my field? What did I do all of this for? And it got really discouraging, and I actually wanted to give up until actually CollegeBound, a connection within CollegeBound, landed me my first public accounting internship, which was amazing. But what motivated me to keep going, when I got my offer, I was okay, I'm back in the game. I'm going to prove myself. I have to utilize this opportunity to show all of these firms that you shouldn't have passed up on me. And even though I don't really know what I'm doing yet, I'm going to develop and grow, and you guys are going to wish I was in your organization. As well as just proving to myself that I could persevere through something so troubling. I didn't give up in the accounting industry. I contemplated changing my major that semester because I just felt so hopeless, but I kept going. And that one internship led me to go into the Big Four and then ending up at the firm that I'm at now. But if I had not, just stuck through that semester and just kept trying to prove something to myself more so than those other organizations, but proving that I'm worthy and that I have the education, I have the knowledge that I can do this. And I'm not going to allow, just because somebody said no 10 times, that I'm going to give up. And that really motivated me, even the place in my career right now. Public accounting gets super rigorous, and it's a tough environment. But knowing that I continue to develop and prove to myself that I'm resilient and I'm great and all these types of self-assuring things, that kept me motivated.
I think for me, what kept me motivated is while I was in school, I was actually homeless. So attending school full-time trying to figure out somewhere to live and still being a part of campus, being a part of the campus life, I think at that moment, and still making sure I have a good GPA, I think at that moment I realized like, wow, okay, I'm really homeless. Okay, so now what do I have to do? So at that point, I didn't have time to feel bad for myself. I had to grind. And I think at that moment, I realized that I have strength and I really can get through things. So I feel that anything that comes in my path, I'm going to knock it down, because college really made me grow up into an adult. Even though had the age, mentally I grew, and business wise I grew. So being homeless and in college and really trying to stay afloat, it's a lot. So at that point, I realized I have to do it, because if I don't do it for myself, nobody else is going to do it for me.
I'm sorry, I had asked the question, like the question you guys had just answered. I just want to say I appreciate you answering the question. My first high school that I went to was a predominantly white school. And like while I was attending that high school, I felt like while I was going there, I kind of had to like prove a point, like for Black people and for my culture. I felt like I had to like work 10 times harder to let them know like I'm about it, what I'm capable of. But sometimes I would like feel like lesser than, or like discredit, or like I wasn't enough. But what kept me motivated was my mom.
If I could just say something. Yeah, I think, I go to a school that it's predominantly white, and I definitely feel the same way that you felt, just going to the school and just feeling like you're just not at the same level. And for me, what I started to realize is that, first of all, these people come from very different backgrounds from me. They haven't lived what I've lived. They don't, I didn't live what they live, and I might have not have the opportunities they had. So for me to compare myself to them is doing a disservice to me. I'm not going to compare myself to someone who went to, I don't know, private school and literally got all the help they could get, which, I would have loved to have, but I just didn't. And so for me is, having a competition with myself to better myself, having the competition with the past me, the 10 minutes ago me, like I want to get better, and comparing myself to them, it's only hurting me, it's stressing me out, because I feel like I'm not there yet. But, just what I've noticed, for example, in engineering, the professor's always like, my professor, who is like amazing professor, he always say, look, if you don't know how to do it, it's fine, just come and ask me. The learning curve is too big. There's some people here who have taken 3 classes in physics, while some might have never seen physics, right? So the learning curve will always be there. Someone will always be behind, but just don't let yourself, don't let that distract you from your goal. At the end of the day, my motivation was, I'm a first generation low income student and immigrant. I have to prove to myself that I can do it. I have to prove to my family that I can do it, or that I want to take advantage of the opportunity that my family gave me. And, I want to show people that they who look like me or who went through things like me, that they can do it, So it wasn't good for me to compare myself to other people. I just think, it's okay to compete, but at the moment when this starts to become negative, take a moment, think about what you're actually doing, and yeah.
Okay, we have another question. What advice would you give for breaking out of your shyness when it comes to joining on-campus organizations and fully taking advantage of social events on campus?
Wait, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
What advice
I would
would
say
you
to
give?
just pop up. Like everybody is nervous. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just repeating the question. What advice would you give for breaking out of your shyness when it comes to joining on-campus organizations and fully taking advantage of social events?
Okay. I would say the first step is attending, showing up. You know, when we're freshmen in college, we're all nervous. A lot of us don't know each other. And I used to feel like I couldn't go to the events because it's like, oh, I don't know anybody, or nobody's going to talk to me. But one, how would I know that if I'm sitting in my dorm and not attending the event? And two, everybody is just shy about, like, you know, making new friends is new. It's a awkward type of space in a sense. And just acknowledging that we're all at the same place. We're all new freshmen here, and, you know, nobody is more experienced with this group or any of the campus or anything of that nature that even needs to block and make me fearful to attend the event. I literally just had to get out of my head and say, okay, go to the cafeteria, you know, maybe just go sit in there for a few and to feel out the groups and to, you know, introduce myself maybe. But the social events, I eventually just talked myself out of talking myself out of it and showed up to one, and then eventually continuously going to different events. You build different groups of friends, and that helps with the shyness.
I'm just going to piggyback on that. Definitely start early. Don't wait. Everybody's in the same boat. They do a lot of these new orientation, new student events. Get out there at the very beginning, because what you don't want is the end of freshman year and everybody has their friend group. You want to start off by finding, as I call it, your vibe knows your tribe. So you need to find at least one person you vibe with, and then you two or you three can tackle it as a group and go to these bigger events. But I'm just going to be quite honest, because I did go to University of Maryland College Park, and I work at Towson. Baltimore people, we're special. We're special in two ways. And I love what you said, Shaunae, that pop up and pop out. We show up either on the news in a negative way or on the opposite end on a really positive way. And all of y'all in this room, I need you to kind of come, like, use your Baltimore. This is what I would have did at that point, because I use my Baltimore for everything. In my professional career, I'm born and raised in Baltimore. I do this for Baltimore, and I use that. And where I come from, it's really a point of pride for me now. Now, when I was at your point, it wasn't. And so I want you to kind of flip that narrative. Yes, I'm from Baltimore. Yes, I went to Baltimore schools. But yes, I landed here at College Park with you. So that shows like who I am. I landed here at college with you. So use your Baltimore. Everybody's not going to like it. I was called the ghetto girl. People are not going to like the way you look. They're not going to like the way you talk. And that can be anywhere you go. So I need you to embrace that. Even in the professional world. So you need to be at your top, at your game point, getting all the information, resources that you can, so people can't talk down on you. Yes, I'm from Baltimore. I talk like this, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. At the end of the day. So again, I would like y'all to grab that. Like you gotta have that pride in that, and how they're using it negatively on TV, you flip it and use it positively. Yes, I went to those schools. Yes, I'm here to pop up and to pop in and pop 100%. Out. And whatever space you don't want me in, that's the space I want to be in, because I want to know what you're talking about and what everybody's working on with these student orgs and things like that. So I told you I wasn't, so I've always been vocal my whole life. College slowed me down. I do this work to tell you and give you the motivation behind, like, you are something special. You've been through a lot of things that people couldn't even fathom, even people that look like you. And that was my biggest thing. That's social economic. I didn't have the money. My mother couldn't just write me a check to go to the mall or go get books. That was the biggest difference between me and my peers. But I need you to embrace that. And if you don't have it, the college, what resources do you have for me? I'm here, I'm popping up, I'm popping out. You want to help Baltimore? I'm here, I'm intelligent, I'm smart, and I can do this. So I wish I would have flipped that narrative. I do it every day in my life. Baltimore going to take me to the top. But at that point, I didn't see it as a positive, and it's such a positive. The things that you've been able to go through from a little child to right now, like, it's such a celebration, and you need to pop up and pop out, because you have it. You have more than they have, to be quite honest. The resiliency, the things you made it through, and what you had, like, it's so much more than they can stand for. And some things are not going to be important to them. Some things are like they're not going to value. It's just going to be different. So just don't stop being you. You got to be strong when you go in this environment. Don't stop being you. Find your tribe. It will be another person like you, at least one. I guarantee you, at least one. But
Yeah.
find those people and make it pop up and pop out. I love it.
Pop up and pop. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I love it. I think we all in here getting goosebumps, feeling it. It's so true. Being from a place. I'm from Cherry Hill. The projects, 2 bedrooms, live with, like, that matters, and that helps me. If you're not threatening my life, everything else is easy. Everything else is easy past that, right? Use your voice. You're from a place. You know what it is. Even the most quiet of us had to maneuver in a certain way. If you were on this call, you already had to maneuver and go through stuff. There's an assumption you lived through some heavy stuff, whether it be through your own experiences or the experiences of friend, Mauricio. Like, it's a lot kind of going on, and it's layered. So that will serve you. That will be a benefit, that voice, that understanding, that that sense and awareness about you. Just take that to the next level, make those connections. I love it. That's absolutely true.
And I would like to say, being born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, it's like, I've never, ever experienced a city like this or an environment like this outside of Baltimore. And initially, when you first say, well, I'm from Baltimore, Baltimore City, they want to know, oh, is it like The Wire? How was the riots? It's like, that's just a glimpse of what you see. Growing up in Baltimore, it makes you hard. And it doesn't have to be like so hard up, but I'm from Baltimore, I'm aggressive. So I took that into my professionalism. I'm going to be aggressive with everything that I want. I'm going to be aggressive and take it. So when you're from Baltimore, this is a beautiful city. You have to be bold. You have to be courageous, and you don't have to step back in the crowd and be afraid. Don't be ashamed that you're from Baltimore City. Yes, this city is probably the 3rd on the charts with the most murders, most crimes. But if you can survive being in Baltimore City, if you can survive being in the school system here, Lord God, it's nothing you can't do. That campus will be happy to have you, and you go on that campus and you take it by storm, and you don't be ashamed. If you need to code switch, learn how to speak in your professionalism, and then you know how to speak in your street. Like right now, I'm being me. I can't, this is the environment. I'm passionate about it. So the thing is, don't be afraid and don't be ashamed, and do what you're on that campus to do. You might not know your purpose right then and there, but before you leave that campus, you're going to know your purpose and you're going to thrive in it. And when you get those group of friends, you make sure that y'all make that pack of making sure your grades are on point. If y'all going to go to the party, y'all need to do your assignments. If y'all want to go to this organization and sit in there and get in that interest meeting and want to know what they're about, you need to do your research. So if y'all going to do it 100% and don't half-step it.
I had a question for Dr. Smith. So for me, like, I'm going into my sophomore year, and these chemistry classes are kind of kicking my butt. So for you, like, well, I don't know if you struggled with your classes as well, but I know, like, I want to be a doctor, so I know I have to stick with it. But I'm also kind of getting, like, a little deterred. So how did you keep your spirits up with, like, hard classes and stuff?
That's a very good question. I hated organic chemistry. Let me be honest, right? And so specifically, chemistry was like, okay, but organic chemistry, I dropped a class one time that I knew I was going to fail. I had to, like, take it again. That was one of those things. And so I found, like, the helper and the natural empathetic person in me that wanted to help people and be a doctor, like, it didn't match with organic chemistry for whatever. So it's just a thing. This is what I would probably suggest in that space. Some mountains just have to be scaled in the process, right? And so how do you do that, right? If you hear a thing like, if you're going to eat an elephant, you got to eat it one bite at a time. Sounds so generic, but teacher choice sometimes comes into play, right? Who the professor is, at least as I understood it, sometimes comes into play. Talking to that professor, right, ahead of time, setting proper, it's a lot different than just getting the book and reading it and trying to come to an understanding. There has to be an effort more than just trying to read through it on your part to connect with that professor and say, just like coach class in high school or whatever that is, that has to continue and actually be more of a mandate, especially with the difficult courses. Okay, so I don't know if that kind of helps you, but some mountains are meant to be scaled. I don't know if you do things that are self-care directed, like meditating, like understanding how music can play and help your mood, whether you do YouTube free clips with earphones that have study beats and binaural tones that you can put on and just help you focus without medicine, without more stuff. And you'd be amazed that those little things might get you over to help you scale these bigger mountains, you know. But I would, again, reach out to that teacher, understand the expectation, take whatever extra help you can, make that a priority. 30 minutes a day in that class can get you a lot further ahead, you know, than maybe where you are right now.
So we're gonna have any last comments from the panelists?
I guess I can say something. One thing that everybody already mentioned, but there's just one more point that I don't know if anybody made, is, you know, when speaking about connections and your network and just how important that is. For me, I got to college and everybody's like, I need to build my network. You know, I need to build my network. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, right? So I had to figure out what that meant. And then I realized, well, I already have a network but I can expand it. So reaching out to professors. But one thing I noticed is, you know, these professors have been studying their whole life in their fields, right? They're experts. So for me, you know, a freshman, to go and ask them about what they work on, it's kind of intimidating. That's what I found it to be. And a lot of people, a lot of my friends experience the same thing, you know, in like being intimidated to approach a professor and ask them about their work or their research, right? So for me it was, you know, I'm gonna learn and you're here to teach me. So I'm gonna send you that email and ask you to talk to me about your work, right? I'm gonna go to your office hours, and I'm gonna ask you what you've been doing. Like just making that conversation, making sure that you know me. And if for example, I was able to get I started research with the professor my second semester, and it was mainly like, okay, let me send this email to this professor who I'm very interested in, not necessarily because of what he does, but because I think it will be a great mentor to have. You know, he's the only Mexican engineering professor at my school. So I said, you know, I need that mentor, right? And I sent him an email, and me trying to figure out what I want to study, I said, you know what? I want to do this fluids research with you if you have a position. And he said he was more than welcome to give me that position. So just not being intimidated to ask questions and to literally take advantage of the resources that you're paying for, like everybody said, right? They're there to teach you, and take advantage of that. And the best advice I got from one of these professors was, people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about what they do. So if you go and ask, if you go and ask a professor what they've been working on for their whole life, they're gonna tell you all about it. So just.
I wanted to say that I want to take the time, but that's exactly right. We are all on the panel to talk about our experience, and none of us are getting paid to do so. The stories we create about those professors, like, I don't want to talk to them because they might not. They actually want to talk to you, like, so just ask, and they'll probably talk too much about themselves and what to do and how you can be better. I have a great point.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I guess one of my final comments is, as we've reiterated, just be you and take your journey as what it is, your journey. We all have our very unique attributes that we bring to the table, and they have value. As India harped on, it's like we all have these unique capabilities that the organizations that you decide to join, the school that you attend, the career path that you pursue, make sure that you're carrying you first. Don't put aside your dreams and your aspirations because somebody told you you couldn't do it, or because, you know, you don't look like everybody else. Like at Stevenson, most of my classmates, their parents were public CPAs already, you know, they own the firms, they own these businesses. And here I am, I'm like, yeah, you guys are definitely going to get the job before me, which they did. But that experience in continuing my career with public accounting, I sit back and just reflect on how much I've grown and the obstacles I've overcome. And I love it because I have a story that no matter where my career takes me, that is going to be pivotal to the growth and the development and what I can contribute to these organizations that I choose to join. But be you, be resilient, be awesome, have fun, you know, talk to people, learn to network, and just, you know, make the best out of your experiences and your resources, because we can't get in a time machine and go back, and you can't redo anything that, you know, except the exam. But, you know, that's my final spiel.
Anyone else on the panel? Final thoughts?
I would like to say that today we spoke on a lot of things with a lot of different responses, but I would like to encourage you all to know that you have a purpose, that no matter what obstacles you may face, you can overcome them, whether it's in your personal life or in your educational journey. You will not die on this earth without fulfilling your purpose. Okay, you have to put 110% into your future. You have to invest in you because you're going to be your greatest investment. Understand everything that you learn, everything that even you may not learn it from books, you may learn it through life lessons. You're learning all these things to help the next generation. You may not be like the next person you see on your campus. If you're attending a PWI and you're Black, you may feel like an outcast, or you may feel left out, but you were sent to be on that campus for a reason, and vice versa. Never sit in your insecurities. Never sit in what you in your if you dealing with low self-esteem, anxiety, depression. Never allow that to overtake who you are. We all have faced obstacles. We all have to deal with certain things, but you cannot achieve if you allow it to take over you. So have those moments, have your group of friends who you're going to talk to, have your support system that you're going to lean on, and you have to get right back in the fight. You have to grind. You have to do this. It's very important that you do so. I put my email on here. If you all want to connect with me, if you all want to follow me on Instagram, just email me and we can talk about that throughout the emails. I'm here to support you all as much as I possibly can. Whatever I can help with, finances, if you need school supplies, I'm connected with a lot of different organizations, and we are here to support you all, especially our Baltimorean youth. We have to support you all. So we have your back 100%. Trust us, and we're trusting in you that you'll get the job done.
Okay, thank you all to all the panelists. Before we wrap up, I do want to announce the winner of the CollegeBound Alumni Association Scholarship. So congratulations to the 2020 CollegeBound Foundation Alumni Association Scholarship recipient, Karen Kahutaz oh gosh, sorry. I'm gonna do it again. Karen Kahutapisky. Karen is a 2020 graduate of Vivian T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy and will be attending Notre Dame of Maryland University in the fall. So congrats to her. I don't know if she's on the call, but congrats. And last but not least, we're gonna have our current president of the CollegeBound Alumni Association, Dr. Tracy Durant, to announce the officers for the 2020-2021 school year.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to take a moment to thank Keiva for organizing the panel, for facilitating. You did an awesome job of pulling everything together and facilitating today. Thank you to the CollegeBound staff for your support of Keiva pulling it together. Thank you to the scholars who participated, and certainly to our panelists, Dr. Smith, Shaunae, Gillen, India, and Mauricio. We appreciate you taking time, thinking it not robbery, to spend time with our alum this morning. And I am excited to be passing the torch, if you will, to our new officers for the CollegeBound Foundation Alumni Association. Our new president is Dr. Darian Sim Carter. Our vice president is Dr. Tamir Lucas. Our secretary is LaWanda Lewis, and our treasurer is Angela Scott. Congratulations to our new officers. I look forward to seeing all of you in just a few moments at the virtual luncheon. Have a great day. Everyone stay safe, be well. Keiva, any last words before we close?
Everyone make sure that you head on over to the other Zoom for the actual luncheon starting in 15 minutes. And thank you all for staying with us. Thank you all for all of the questions that you all have had. Hopefully, everyone caught all those gems, so many gems from the panelists. So thank you to the panelists. Thank you to CollegeBound Foundation for organizing this. And I hope everyone has a great day, has a great school year. It's going to be virtual.